There's only one place to really start, I guess, and that is for you, Steve.
Look on the Brighton side.
Have your say. Manchester United 2, Brighton 3.
Shouldn't even have been 2. It should have been 3-1. It was flattering. They got Fellaini on at the end, and he managed to harvest a penalty, and we got it to 3-2. And there was 30 seconds left, and Pogba ran and grabbed that ball, and he ran back to the halfway spot. And I thought, why are you bothering now? Why are you showing me the passion now when you should have been showing it like 75 minutes before? We were 3-1 down before the end of the first half. It was one of the worst things I've seen in years, but it's been building like a boil on your backside or something. Mm-hmm. It's just everything is pointing towards Mourinho is going to leave. You can see it all. And
do you see in Mourinho's face as well?
Oh, look at his face. He looks like he's having half-time lemons, mate. That's what he's having. He's sucking on his lemons. He's just... What?
He's having pre-match lemons.
Everything about him. Everyone's falling out with everyone. Woodward now is just falling out with Neville because Woodward sat at the end of the game had a right face on. You could tell what was going on. And even if it wasn't the case, it looked like he was showing his disapproval of Mourinho's management of United or the performance of United. Mourinho's falling out with the board. Woodward's falling out Mourinho. Woodward's falling out with Neville. Pogba. Everyone's falling out with Mourinho, basically. The board aren't backing him. And
so, as you can see as a United fan, obviously it's hard. If you're in charge now of Manchester United, from not just a manager's point of view, if you're actually in charge of the club, what do you want to see happen? What do you want to do to Manchester United? Do you want to keep... Jose there, let him work his stuff, let's see if he can do anything by Christmas time, people keep dotting about, or is that change has to be made sooner or later?
Give him another 200 million to spend.
But it's too late. That should have been done. It should have been done during the transfer window, and we should have started the season with a new team, with the holes plugged.
Hang on a minute. United finished second last year, and you want to sign a new team.
Yeah, but we finished second, 15 points behind
19,
the leading 19.
Yeah.
And that's
going to get shorter throughout the season. Finished by 10 points.
But that's my point. We can say we finished second, but should we not be challenging for the league?
New team. That's just overreacting, isn't it?
What do you think the team they've got now is good enough?
I think if they had the right manager and it was a positive attitude that was at Old Trafford, I don't think that team is 19 points back. It might not be as good as City's team, because City's team is exceptional, but it wouldn't be anywhere near that amount back. And it's because you've got a manager who at the moment he's gone over the hill, he's past his best, and as you say, Steve, it's written all over his face. There is definitely problems in there, and to me, if I was a United fan, I'd desperately wanting to change a manager.
I totally agree.
As a Blue, I'm quite happy for him to stay there.
It just feels like this is the second game into the season, and they're walking out there. Yet again, they look passionless. They look upset. They look miserable. Mourinho looks annoyed with everyone.
Bailly looked really down, didn't he?
What was he doing? He kicked it off for a corner near the halfway line.
Do something wrong.
Are you talking here about Bailly or Pogba? Because I saw him do one of them.
So, I think what a lot of United fans are talking about at the minute is who they place the blame on the most. I know Full-Time Devils, who will be on the show tomorrow, taking over. They did a whole video on who is to blame. Now, who do you personally blame as a United fan, Steve? The players, the board, the manager, or is it just a combination of the fact that they aren't gelling at the minute?
It feels like United is slowly decaying. Ever so slowly, it feels like the business format, everything about it is old school, and it's got to change. They endorsed Mourinho, they bought into his philosophy, and now he's turning around and saying, that means I need 2 better defenders, and they're turning around and saying, we gave you 2 defenders last year, work with them. You've got a midfielder that's meant to be one of the best in the world, and he can barely string a pass together when he's got a United shirt on, and he's just won the World Cup. The board are saying, you've got the players, you sort it out. He's saying, I need a bit more money. I can see see where it's all falling apart.
Whereas the model over the road is, look at us, we've got this CFA, we've built
and they're rubbing it in your face, Steve. The brand new documentaries come out. I'm guessing you've watched those 7 episodes,
all
Steve.
About togetherness.
I've not watched a single second. But I tell you, every player in that United team should watch that documentary.
Really? Is that the first thing
and I'll tell you why. Know your enemy. It's one of the oldest things in war. Know your enemy. Learn everything about them.
You won't learn anything from the doco.
Why wouldn't you learn anything
Not in that sense, because it's been very cleverly put together and edited, and I know that City have had an overview on it. It might be an Amazon documentary, but this is not full of secrets. This isn't full of insight. This is all about showing passion.
Do you know what he's trying to do? He's trying to put them off it. He's trying to. He's saying, don't watch it. It's full of secrets. He's full of secrets. They're having hobnobs at half time, and that's what we should be doing.
No jelly babies in there, is there?
I'll tell you what it's like. I'll tell you, United start of the season, I'll tell you exactly what it's like. So, listen, you're going for a romantic weekend in the Cotswolds. You ever been there, Cheesy? I bet you have.
Been to the Cotswolds, no.
Everyone goes to you when you say, I'm going to the Cotswolds. They go, oh, you must go to Broadway. It's this romantic millionaire's village. It is the equivalent of getting in the... When you're going to the Cotswolds and you go to Broadway, it's like getting in the top 4. That's where you want to be. That's what it's like. Yeah. You don't want a house there. That's like winning the league. Obviously, United don't want to buy a house there for some reason. I have no idea why. And you're excited. So you set off and everything's going well. Everything's going well. You go to the get on the M56 and then you take the new bypass and you get onto the M6 and then slam. Second match of the season, you're at the nastiest traffic jam of your life. It's going to ruin your weekend. You'll get there eventually, but it's going to ruin it. You're going to be in a bad mood. And what it is it's a rusty old van. All the traffic goes down to one lane, and for some reason this van's broken down. It shouldn't even be on the road, mate. It's rusty. It's probably not past its MOT. Probably not even insured. And when you finally get up to that van and you want to actually scream, you wind your window down. No, mate. Bailey and Lindelof get out. That's what I'm talking about.
I think the whole team get out.
I think we should all go to the Cotswolds and have a good laugh.
Get yourself down Broadway, mate.
I just want to talk to you about your next game, but as well as talking to you that, we're going to bring in a Spurs fan called Barry. He's just about to start a tennis match, so he needs to crack on. Barry, you're a Spurs fan. You're down in London. How are your green balls doing?
All right, we've literally just got to the gate. I booked the court for 6 till 7. I said I've got to have a quick break to talk about Spurs.
You're buzzing. So, United are on the ropes. Steve Shanyaski's in the studio. Are you back at Wembley? Are you confident of 3 points on the weekend? On Monday, sorry?
I am. I thought it was at Old Trafford, isn't it, on Monday?
Yeah, I think it is as well. That means we've got a bit of a chance.
Sits here at Wolves, so it figures.
We haven't got a great record at Old Trafford. Having said that, and I was a bit disappointed that we didn't buy anyone in the transfer window. But obviously, we did hold on to Toby Alderweireld, who United are after, obviously.
Yeah.
And it just feels like Mourinho's having a bit of a meltdown. I don't know whether it's just that he's looked at City, he's looked at Pep being there, looked at the money spent, looked at the players they've got, and just thought, if this had been a few years ago when I got this job, I might have been in with a shout. But he just seems like he's just being petulant. I always liked Mourinho. I always thought at least he's a bit of a personality. When he was at Chelsea, and you think half of it's always him just protecting the players and taking the heat off them. But I don't know. Recently, he's just become this sort of sour, grumpy, just constantly making excuses, slagging off his own players. I don't know. Something's not right there, obviously.
Yeah, sorry, I got a bit carried away with my hand slapping. Obviously, it's Old Trafford. You are going to be reminded of the last season. Early on in the season, it was United against Tottenham. It was at Old Trafford. Mourinho got quite slaughtered for the way he played against you, but he did get a win against Tottenham last season. It was 1-0. Now, do you think he's going to do some sort of Mourinho-style tactics on you again?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I mean, let's face it. He should. I mean, no United manager should be instructing his team to park the bus at Old Trafford. But I think he will. I think this is the problem. This is why you're hearing on various phone-ins and seeing on forums why United fans are so annoyed. Is because it's not as if United are losing with swashbuckling football. It's losing quite often and not even playing there. And the thing is, there's the odd game where it was surprised. Last season, it was the odd game where it surprised you and suddenly they come out attacking and play really well. And you go, why are you not doing that that in other games? I don't understand.
The trouble is, as a United fan, I think I've already said to myself that's going to be a 1-0 again. Because if we open up, you scored against us in 11 seconds, didn't you, in that game? 11, isn't it like the quickest game in the history of quickest goal in the history of football or something?
Oh, the one at Wembley last season.
Yeah, that one.
Crazy, quickest goal in the history of football.
But it was just embarrassing, and the whole thing was embarrassing, and that is when he doesn't park the bus. So you start thinking, well, what's going to happen? A quick question for you, Barry, before you go on and play some tennis. Your realistic expectations for Spurs this season?
I mean, I'd be over the moon with top 4. I mean, it'd be great. I mean, I know we've had third last couple of seasons, but it does seem that everyone else has strengthened around us. Obviously, great start with 2 wins, but I'd be over the moon with 4th and a cup. I think it'd be absolutely brilliant to win the FA Cup or the League Cup, whatever that's called this year.
Barry, where's the City game going to be played? Is it Wembley? Is it not going to be played at all? I want to know.
Do you know what? I don't know. I mean, because at the moment we're sort of flouting Premier League rules, aren't we? Because you're not supposed to have more than 2 grounds for in one season. I mean, at the moment it looks like they're just trying to swap the date.
That sounds like a rule they made up and thought no one is ever going to break that. No one is ever going to have more than 2 rounds in one season. I'm sure that he'll let you know, because I know that the Spurs have asked City can they play it at their ground, but City say no because the back end of the season that'll give City something like 5 away games on the trot. So who knows? Do you get told, Barry? Are you in the loop with things? What Spurs sort of saying to you?
What, in terms of where we're playing that game?
Yeah, or just how the stadium's looking in general.
Yeah, I mean, no. I mean, all I know is that, as I say, we've managed to keep the team together. I was worried that you're going to have a few resentful players, but the spirit looks good at the moment. We started the first 2 games well. I reckon for the City game, I'd be happy if they just said, you know what, it seems like a lot of hassle. Let's just call that one a draw, lads.
No, we want 3 points, mate.
Barry, enjoy your tennis game, Barry. Who are you up against?
Thanks a lot. I'm just up against my mate Tim. I'm watching him warm up in front of me, and I don't think I've got anything to worry about.
Tell Tim he's going down. See you later, Barry. Thank you very much,
Cheers,
mate. That was Barry, Spurs fan, having a chat with us on the Wednesday Club, because obviously it is United against Spurs on Monday. I mean, this section, we move over to Manchester City. I wanted to talk about, obviously, the win for City on the weekend. Forever Blue, by the way, if you missed it. Everything Manchester City. Yesterday, go get the podcast. A great win for City.
Look at this dreamy look of love on his face.
We do film every episode, so if you want to see the dreamy look of Ian Cheeseman, you can see it. Ian, after the 17 minutes we've had of Steve and his disappointment in United.
I mean, that full 17 minutes was me. We did.
Oh, all right. I said a couple of things.
In a rusty van, it should have been a bus that blocked the motorway.
Oh, that's true.
What do you want to say in response for City's performance?
It was dreamy. It was dreamy, and that's without Kevin De Bruyne, of course. And it just, you don't know when you're going to wake up from this dream, because it isn't about winning. They won 6-1, completely pulverised. It could have been a lot more than that, and that's not being disrespectful to Huddersfield, but it was just the manner of the football. And my wife and son were sat quite close to the pitch watching the game, and they're normally slightly higher up, and he came home and said, you know what, when you're that close, the speed with which they moved the ball around, the accuracy of the passing was just phenomenal. Now, from where I was sat, which is up in the press box, it always looks dreamy, and it always looks like that, but the football they're playing at the moment is just awesome. They'll get beat somewhere, something will go wrong, of course.
Huddersfield aren't the team.
Generally speaking, yeah, absolutely. I mean, Wolves don't quite know what to expect from them this weekend, because before a ball was kicked, everybody said Wolves might be a bit of a surprise package, finish halfway up the league, but they haven't started particularly well. So going down there, always memories for me going down to Wolves of that great day back in 2012 when United were playing Everton. You'll remember this well, Steve. And they were 4-2 up, and it looked like United were going to win the league that year, and it ended up being 4-4, remember?
Yeah.
And that was where the tide turned, and City went on to win the league. And look at the domination that's come since then. Great, isn't it?
And who was our manager then? Moyes.
No, it was Sir Alex you spoke.
Oh, right.
Never in my life.
Well, that was it, you know. This is, yeah, well.
I want to quickly talk about two captains. Vincent Kompany celebrating his 10th anniversary being at Manchester City. What captain he is. I know last season you spoke to Carla, and Carla Kompany's wife, and that was such an insight. You can check that on the podcast if you missed it, and on YouTube. She spoke to Cheesy and Lakey. But he's been at City for 10 years now. I mean, where does he rank for you amongst the greatest leaders?
He's the greatest. I mean, Tony Buck was the man before him who you would think of as the greatest captain. I'm lucky enough to know Tony Buck very well, and he lifted an array of trophies in the previous era, long time ago, but it happened. And this fella, Vincent Kompany, has come along and taken it to another level. It's not just the number of trophies he's lifted, it's the eloquence with which he speaks, the quality of his football, obviously coming back from injury, never saying die. I hear that he makes sort of
soup. He makes lovely soup.
He makes Churchillian speeches in the dressing room. In fact, round about the time of that...
If this ends up with you slagging off United again, I'm going to tip your chair over.
Oh, you do enough of that.
Yeah, leave it to me. That's my job.
Absolutely. So that season when City lost to Arsenal, round about the same time as that Wolves game, he was one of the people who went in that dressing room under Mancini, made a big speech, and things started to turn. I see him as a future. We had Carla on, as Joe quite rightly says, and I was trying to sort of gauge whether or not he might fancy being a manager in the future, and it looks like that might not be the route that he goes down, but I think he'd make a great manager. And obviously he came as a midfielder from Hamburg, converted into a central defender. He is that total footballer that Pep wants, but he is Vincent Kompany. I mean, he's an honorary Mancunian.
If we've got time briefly, you're tapping into something there that Kompany during derbies has been a nightmare for us to deal with. There's been headers going in and stuff, and he's a big presence, but he's got that passion and that anger, which I'm not seeing on the pitch with United at the moment, and it's breaking out. You got them lads all driven down to Brighton or whatever, or got down there. It's a nightmare trek, getting round London and all that, and to watch that, and then Pogba comes out saying we aren't in the right attitude. You want to go and be one of them lads in that car driving down there and see what their attitude is, because they would die for United. They would die for getting on that pitch and putting a red top on. So it's about time they buck their ideas up, I think.
Never underestimate the passion of the fans, and you're right.
And you can win a game with passion.
Yeah,
you can win a game. It doesn't matter even if they could have at least drawn that game if they pulled their socks up a bit.